Welcome back to the Colorado Springs Business Podcast. This is a show where I get together once a week with a business owner in Colorado Springs and we talk business. On this week's episode, I have on Tonya and Vince Striedieck. They own Little Red Wagon Moving. They're in their 4th year and they're doing awesome things in the community and just being an awesome moving company. So we're about to get into that interview real quick, shortly after a message from our sponsors. This week's episode is sponsored by Alpha Elite Plumbing and Heat. Alpha Elite Plumbing and Heat is a plumbing and heat service here in Colorado Springs, and you can actually check out the interview I did with the owner of Alpha Elite Plumbing and Heat on this podcast. So go check that out if you want to get to know Diego Lujan a little better, who is the owner of Alpha Elite Plumbing and Heat. But also go check out Alpha Elite Plumbing and Heat if you have any plumbing and heat needs. You can reach them at alphaeliteplumbing.com and you can find them anywhere on social media. Our next sponsor is Striedieck Service and Tire. Striedieck Service and Tire is a 5-star rated, family owned and operated Goodyear. Check their reviews and you will see why they are special. Sure, they fix your car and get you the tires you need, but that isn't what people are talking about. It's about the people. They treat people with kindness, respect, and compassion while providing a needed service at a fair price. They offer full automotive repair and can get any kind of tires you need. They also offer a synthetic blend oil change at an everyday price of $16.95. That's insane, guys. Check them out at 2410 North Powers Boulevard or online at striedieckservice.com. Man, it is snowy out here. Overnight, we got like 5 inches. That's insane, dude. So let's get this show started and jump right into the interview with Tonya and Vince Striedieck. This is a weekly show where I interview business owners and entrepreneurs from Colorado Springs, in Colorado Springs, doing things in the community of Colorado Springs.
We are Little Red Wagon Moving Company. We've been in business about 4.5 years. We offer local moves, long distance moves, residential and commercial moving. We offer packing services. We do a senior and military discount. We service apartments, senior livings, and standalone homes.
Cool. So what got you guys started with this business? What's the story? I know you have an excellent story.
Well, it's 20 years now, self-employed.
Okay, cool.
And my first business was moving. Mm-hmm. And I got out of it to go into carpet cleaning and whatnot. And then, so I just decided back in 2015 that I wanted to go back into the moving business. Mm-hmm. So
and the carpet cleaning company you were in was the first episode of this show with Brandon Kirk, actually.
Yes. Yeah. So, and he's done amazing things with that business. So, but yeah, so, we got back into the moving business and we were struggling to come up with a name. Mm-hmm. I wanted to keep things fun and simple. I didn't want to take it so serious that, so I started brainstorming names and my mom actually came up with Little Red Wagon Moving. And at first time she mentioned it, it kind of made me chuckle.
Yeah, you're like, that's a kind of a different name.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I could barely hear her on the phone. I'm like, what did you say? And she's like, Little Red Wagon. And I'm like, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And so I was torn between 2 names, and I finally was tucking my daughter in bed one night. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, what are you going to do about the name of the company? And I said, I'm not sure. And she goes, Dad, you ought to name it Little Red Wagon. With a name like that, there's no way it could not succeed. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And then we added, of course, our slogan, the Happy Movers, and we did it in crayon.
Yeah, I like that.
And so, but yeah, I think people have responded real well to the name. I think they like it. They kind of see that it's kind of a fun name. Mm-hmm. So
it creates nostalgia. Everyone had a red wagon that they pulled their brother or sister or their toys around the neighborhood.
I know I did.
Yeah.
And I think my first moving job ever in my life was in a little red wagon.
I just now made that connection. You can move things with a little red wagon.
That's right. I'd load things in there and just, but starting with a dog, I'm sure I put a dog in a wagon.
Nice.
So, yeah. And then since then, my mom has passed away, And the only thing I did on our trucks and on our cards and flyers is we added her favorite flower, which was an African violet.
Okay.
And so that's why on our flyers, the back of all of our moving business cards, and even on our trucks, you'll see a little flower.
Okay. So there's a lot of heart and soul in this company.
Yeah, I like to think so. We're a small company. We still answer the phones ourselves, book the jobs.
Like you just did.
Yeah, like we just did before I sat down here. Booked a nice, job going out of state. So, but, we're a great little company. I mean, we meet our workers every morning. Our day typically starts by showing up at the shop and just detailing the inside of the truck, cleaning the windows, making sure the cab of the truck is in good shape. Going to the back, opening it up, counting the pads. Every moving truck now has the exact same number of moving pads, so we know where we stand on pads. We have the same number of dollies. We start by just sweeping out the back of the truck and just, that way we can deliver to the customer, plenty of moving pads to wrap everything in, and a clean truck, and all of our workers, are dressed wearing the Little Red Wagon shirts, or in the wintertime, sweatshirts.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you never see the T-shirts. They're dressed wearing sweatshirts. So, but,
so have you guys ever had just a customer who was just like one of the world from you and just was kind of, I guess, a bad customer, and have you had to deal with that?
Oh yeah. You can't get away from it.
No, yeah.
But honestly, how you handle stuff like that is really what's most important. You will get a customer here and there who didn't think you hung the moon by the time the job is done. They may be, but honestly, it's so far and few between.
For sure.
My last actual complaining customer was back in April. That was almost 10, 11 months ago.
What was the complaint about?
Well, he was saying that we were supposed to pack up his apartment, his daughter's apartment, and we left some things. And it was...
And mistakes happen. I mean,
and it was enough stuff where you could fit it in the trunk of a car.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't get the chance to go back and grab it. So he was just saying, what are you going to compensate me for not finishing the job? And I'm like, well, so we just reach an agreement and just, move on.
No, for sure.
And just take care of it.
Yeah.
We've got a great rating. Our Google rating right now is a 4.8 right now. Nice. I want to say it was a 4.9, but I think it's a 4.8. We have almost 100 reviews.
Nice.
And our customers, we don't really ask our customers for a review, but a lot of times our customers at the end of the job are like, I'm so happy that where should I post a review? I want to tell everybody.
Without even sending a review request?
No.
Oh, nice.
No, we've never sent out a review request.
Nice.
Our customers usually ask us, how can I tell everybody about the experience? Would you rather me post it here or here? And I usually tell them, just go into Google and post it.
For sure. Because that really does help. I mean, ranking on Google is super important for businesses nowadays, especially in the industry you guys are in.
Yeah, reviews are, and I even find myself looking at reviews when I'm picking mostly like when we're out of town and we're picking a restaurant.
Oh, no, for sure.
I want to see if they at least have a decent star rating. So reviews are very important.
So in the moving business, like any other, we're all human.
Yeah.
So there are mistakes that are made. The misconception is that furniture, furniture is meant to stay in your place. Yeah. It's not meant to move over and over and over again. And so sometimes there are, a mistake, something might get scratched, something might get damaged. The key of keeping good customer service is what you do after a mistake is done. We care about our customers. If for some reason we put a nick in their floor, we have someone to repair it.
Nice. Or even, scratch a table or something. We do have a guy who he works for a handful of moving companies here in town. But when you move tens of thousands of pounds of furniture a week,
something's going to
I mean, things do happen, and we take care of it. And there's no hiding. It's not like I'm the CEO of a corporation. I mean, you call Little Red Wagon, and you're going to get me. So there's no hiding from it. And we just just take everything head on. So
nice. Well, and that's, I think, what our customers appreciate. We don't just move their furniture, and they can call us if we've made a mistake. They know that we're going to come in and we're going to fix whatever mistake we've made. Yeah. And that's why we have repeat business, because we do care. They know that we care. Our guys are fantastic guys.
Well, and that is the key. You know, I've always said that you can be the greatest owner on the planet, but a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
For sure.
And I think what makes us, such a great small company is that the people that we hire. We kind of filter through the people who we don't want, and we pick the people who we do want. And
do you filter through customers? Do they have any kind of screening process?
No,
not really. I mean,
some businesses that's necessary. But
my own personal flag is when customers start asking me for a copy of my contract before we even go into the move.
Okay, yeah.
And that's only happened a few times, but I'm like, but then I go to find out that they've had bad experiences, and they're very cautious. And actually those moves, I'm like, you know what, I'll send it over. I have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
We send out a contract, customers sign it, they understand, they can take a picture of it. Or
they just want to make sure that if something does get nicked or anything, that
it's covered and what is covered.
Yeah.
Right.
So like if it's a new build, there's some customers that don't want us to pull our moving truck onto the driveway because concrete has a cure time. So just things like that. Yeah. It just creates a longer walk, might add a little bit of time to the job, but we park in the street a lot of times if customers don't want that truck on the driveway. So, and it doesn't matter whether it's a $200,000 house. Not too long ago, we did a job in a house that was $2.5 million.
Nice.
Little over 10,000 square feet. So it doesn't matter if it's a big house or a little house, it's their house.
Yeah.
And we take care of it. We pad the railings going downstairs. We have like polypropylene, like rubber floor runners that we roll out when we get to a job site and we're unloading. And
we take care of banisters. We have door jamb protectors. We protect the doors, the walls, the railings. We take a lot of care. We don't want to make a mistake.
For sure. Yeah.
We want by the end of the move that all the furniture is placed where you asked it to be placed. All the beds are put together so that you can sleep there that night. And every box is in the room that you want it to be in. So it's not a big, huge ordeal for you. Moving is stressful. Buying a house.
Do you guys pack too?
We do.
Okay. We do pack. Our guys are actually right now on we're packing up a senior and moving them into an assisted living facility. For some reason, we've really, gained a lot of popularity among seniors.
Okay.
It's a big part of what we do is packing them up, moving them. We have a lot of facilities around town that refer us.
Yeah.
So
wasn't one of the first big jobs you got was a senior place? I think we talked about this a little bit.
Well, that's actually true. The first account that started referring us was an assisted living facility, which is actually how I met Tonya.
Oh, nice.
And she was working the front desk, and we got to know each other as I was doing moves there, and that's actually how her and I met.
But that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so the moving industry has impacted my life in more ways than just, than one.
For sure. So where do you guys plan on going with this company? What's the future?
Wow, that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
Now,
within the next year, at least. Okay.
Well, right now we stand at 3 trucks. All of our trucks are 25, 26-foot long trucks. We're at 3 right now, and for sure we'd like to buy at least one more and get to 4. I'm not really capping how many trucks I'm going to end up with, because I mean, it could be 10.
Well, I just know some companies, they want to be the biggest company, and some companies are happy being
You know,
small.
I don't necessarily want to be the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to take over this town, and I don't have the take over the town mentality.
Okay.
As I grow, I want to keep the quality there.
Mm-hmm. That's most important.
So I only want to grow as big as I can grow and still feel like a small company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want customers to know that when they call, we remember them from the last time they moved. And I mean, we have great rapport with them. And I always want to have good rapport with like our workers. Every morning, our workers see our faces.
Mm-hmm.
And we...
They're like family. Honestly, we have a longevity in our company. Our guys have been around 2-3 years, or I'm sorry, 1 to 2 years, and they, when they buy a new car, they call us up and say, "Hey, Vince, Tonya, can I come by and show you my new car?"
Nice.
Hey, we're moving. Where they're comfortable enough with us.
One of my workers broke down alongside the road, and I was the first person he called.
Oh, interesting.
And I went over there and helped him and got him back to his house. I mean, we're that type of company, And
Didn't you just say you had a dinner last night, a company dinner?
Well, I didn't have a dinner. I had a family dinner last night. But when we've had gatherings, when an employee has a birthday, we've taken them to Fuzzies, or we've had a barbecue
Even
here.
for Thanksgiving, we've had our own workers over. I mean, that's the type of atmosphere it's the type of relationship we like to create. Because honestly, our customers are really going to get to know our workers
for sure.
more than they'll know me. Mm-hmm. They'll talk with me on the phone, but once we send the workers out, they are actually representing the company. And so, we like to keep everything on the up and up for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I know their girlfriends. I know their, where they live. I know. And they know that I actually care about them. Mm-hmm. And the way I treat them is the way they treat our customers. Yeah. And our customers are in great hands with our guys.
Colorado Springs, I know it's growing, but it's too small of a town to burn any bridge.
Mm-hmm. It really is, yeah.
I mean, you've really got to be on the up and up with every customer. And, and so that's kind of my philosophy.
I feel you. Yeah.
That's my philosophy, is just stay on the up and up with every customer, because, you never know when you're on stage. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you. And we do small moves. We actually do moves where someone just needs a couch that's in the garage moved into the basement.
Okay.
And we'll show up. We'll run it down there for them. And a lot of times those small moves like that turn into whole house moves. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've already met us.
Yeah.
And when they get ready,
relationships are everything.
When they get ready to move, we're the first person they refer and the first person they call. So we do small jobs and we do the big ones.
It's the same thing with how we treat our seniors. When we move your mom and dad into a senior facility, and we've packed their things with care, and we've done a great job, and they move into that facility and they feel good. Well, we took care of your mom and dad. They're going to call us and say, "You did such a great job with my parents. We want you to move us." Or they'll tell their neighbor, "Oh my gosh, they did such a great job. Tonya and Vince were awesome." And so we take every job seriously. We don't take anything for granted in our relationship with our customers or our relationship with our employees.
We truly are the definition of a husband-wife team.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, her job is, marketing for this company and building relationships, and it's not uncommon for her to show up on job sites and meet the customer, and so we truly are a husband-wife team. I don't want to use the word mom and pop because that has the wrong spin, but we truly are just a small company that's just trying to grow, but not just grow for the sake of being big. I want to grow naturally.
Yeah.
I want happy customers to tell more people, and those people to tell more people, and it'll happen. I'm actually technically not in a huge hurry to make this company become big. I want it to happen naturally.
Yeah.
Just through word of mouth.
I'm getting some word of mouth just for my business right now. I was just telling Tonya earlier, we were just at a networking event. Right after that, someone sent me a text saying, this is hey, Andrew, something, I know this person and I need a video done. So I was like, that's cool. Word of mouth feels really good too when someone does that. Yeah.
Well, and the relationships that I built with real estate agents, with senior livings and apartment complexes. I'm in 20 apartment complexes a week, and I talk to the leasing managers. I remind them, hey, we're here to serve you. Based on just word of mouth and our customer service, we were voted for Best of the Springs last year. We got second to Two Men in a Truck.
Yeah.
And we were nominated.
That was kind of a neat accomplishment. And we actually technically have never even posted that on any social media, but we did actually win second place Best of Springs.
There's one coming up. Is the voting over? Or?
No, it's not. I think we have 20 days left, and we are up for Best of the Springs again this year.
Nice.
This year, we're unfortunately up against two national
companies.
Yeah, one of them is the van line that does a lot of contract work for the military, and the other one is Two Men in a Truck.
Yeah,
and
it's all based on voting.
Right. Yeah,
and so but for being like when we won it last year, we were only in business for 3 years.
So
that's cool. 3 years, 3 trucks, and took second place for Best of Springs, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a neat accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because there's some companies who've been in town for 15, 20 years and they haven't, haven't joined or gotten to be a part of that. So we are, we do have a great standing with the BBB and, but a lot of that is just maintaining your customer relationships, not letting one customer feel like if they need to get a hold of you after the move, that they can get a hold of you. It's usually when you neglect them and they don't get a hold of you, that's when they start saying, you know what, I'm just going to blow this whole thing up.
Oh, yeah.
And tell everyone. But you handle
and people like making, like, they're more inclined, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like people, when they're done wrong, they're more quickly to review you badly.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, they say a happy customer may tell 5 people, and a really upset customer will tell 20 or 30.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you want to keep those down to a minimum.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and honestly, like so when we're done, our customers can honestly hop in the back of our moving truck, look around, make sure there's nothing back there, and I mean, but yeah, it's been good so far. So
So you're in your 4th year. The growth has been pretty good. You had a good year last year.
Last year was
a banner year for us.
Was a great year.
Yeah,
it was a
banner
great
year. What's that mean?
Well, we had significant growth, and a lot of it has to do with relationship building. When I quit working a year ago, September, we just wanted to replace my income. We had no idea how much going out, shaking hands, meeting people, telling them about our services and our way of doing business was going to really change how much the growth. And we bought our 3rd truck last year in the spring.
Bought our 3rd truck, and actually. And then what are you talking about in 2019? 19 bought our 3rd truck, and then we were actually able to buy our house here and move into our house, which was a nice milestone for us.
Yeah. And but what happened, I mean, we were doing so well last summer that we were actually turning work away, and we had our 3rd truck. And so what it showed us is that, this town is a relationship town. It's not just going on Google and finding a mover. You ask your friends. You go on Facebook and you say, who's the best mover in town?
Yeah.
Well, when I have happy customers and I have relationships that I built with real estate agents and people in the community, and they say, use Little Red Wagon, that's just a testament that we're doing the right thing. We're out there. Sure. We're a good business, and people can trust us. And so that's why we're going to be buying our 4th truck and running 4 trucks this summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
But running 4 trucks isn't about the trucks. anybody could go out tomorrow morning and buy 4 trucks and be a moving company. It's building up the workforce where each and every person is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And when they go out, usually 2 by 2 or, two people per truck or sometimes 3, they all know when they walk into a house what needs to be done.
And I have to say that my husband's really good at not only picking good employees, but training them in our culture and making sure that they're, some of our employees call it Little Red Wagon material. When we've hired people in the past, our main guys will say, they're not Little Red Wagon material.
They're not Little Red Wagon material.
And
the
we
people
take
like
it
that
seriously.
For sure.
Will turn over and we'll just be like, okay, it's not the right fit, but you got to be the right fit to work for us. Like not just anybody can come to work for us.
No. And so I trust my guys. I know that they have our best interest in heart, and they enjoy the accolades that they get. When their name is mentioned in a review, it's a huge pat on the back.
For sure. It's got to feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. And, when they leave a job and everything's where it's supposed to be and their customers are, hey, here's a tip for doing a great job. I mean, they live for that kind of stuff. And so they strive.
Is more than just a paycheck. A tip is a very personal thing to the workers.
For sure.
Because it means that they went above and beyond and the customers were so satisfied that they'll just, tip our workers.
And sometimes those tips can be pretty nice when it comes to moving. Because my brother's done that. He's done moving before. And sometimes people can be pretty generous.
The largest single tip that we have ever received on one job was $1,700.
Are you kidding me?
No.
When I said they're pretty nice, I wasn't even thinking that.
Well,
that's an
between
exception.
what a customer tipped us and tipped all the workers, it ended up being $1,700.
We had a move to Rye, New York, which is about 30 minutes outside of New York City. And it was a large job. It was a large 2-truck moving all the way across the country. But no kidding, it's been a year or more. The customer sent me a message
just a couple days ago
on Facebook Messenger and just said, I have to tell you, you guys treated us like we were your friends.
Like they were basically saying we were stressed out about the move, but you guys just made us feel so relaxed, like you guys totally had it in control.
That's good.
And Nicole hadn't left a review, and I said, hey, she said, I would be happy to leave you a review.
Yeah, she just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a year after the move. She still called Tonya up and was talking to her, and she just left us a review this week.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And so it just goes to show, all of us make an impact in what we do. And how we are perceived is a big deal. And I love the fact that my customers, even a year later, will call us and say, hey,
that's good.
Did a fantastic job. This was an awful, move to have to move all the way across the country, but you made it so easy. And that's just, it just makes you realize you're doing the right thing.
It's a process. It's literally one customer at a time.
Yeah.
And that's how we look at it. We don't move on till the next customer, till this one's happy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and this is my, technically my 4th business, and all the businesses have just grown very naturally, and this business is no exception. The only major difference, like I already said, is I'm just not in a hurry to grow.
And the other ones
fast. I wanted to. I had goals, and I was trying to just really grow, and I have a very different approach. I know most business owners are like, I want to be the biggest. I'm going to take over the town, and I don't necessarily, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but I want it to happen organically. I want it to just happen. If it happens, it happens. If it happens, it's because we grew, not just because we spent $1 million on advertising, but because our customers were so happy that they're out there advertising for us.
Yeah.
And that's actually what we're seeing. I almost very rarely book a job where the customer isn't a repeat or a referral.
Nice.
And that's only after 4 years of being in business.
For sure.
I mean, the company started with one truck and me and one worker.
What did that look like the first month?
Slow. The work wasn't plentiful, but I just remember the days where I'd drive by my worker's, apartment, pick him up every single morning, fire up the truck, and we just go out and just work. And
how were you getting business during that first few months?
I ended up doing just a lot of door-to-door marketing to apartment complexes. I had a website built right away.
Nice.
Wasn't that great, but I've had it amended a couple of times since then. Have a couple new websites built since then, but just a lot of word of mouth. And I remember even our first moving truck was yellow, and me and a worker literally painted our first truck white. And then he was pretty good at freehand stenciling.
Nice.
And so on one side of one of our trucks still, you'll see where it's hand painted Little Red Wagon Moving.
Oh, nice.
And I have pictures of him and I actually out there painting.
You should take one of those pictures, have Tonya or someone do a write-up, and that could be a good piece of content for social media.
We did. Dave, who we've been working with, took that picture and
so Dave Gustafson is working on our website and getting ready to release our new website and new content and he's doing a great job with that. So we're really excited with that.
Launches, I think, like this week. So we'll have a new website coming up soon.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we can start wrapping this up. Is there anything you'd like to let people know? So maybe someone who's starting a business here in Colorado Springs.
Oh boy, a business.
So, because this is the Colorado Springs Business Podcast, I assume most of the listeners probably are business owners. Maybe people just want to see what the business owners are doing too.
I mean, one thing that I did when I started up this company and all the ones in the past is I technically just started off slow. Financially, I'm a very careful person. I don't spend frivolously. Even though I may have money, I don't act or spend like I have it. I'm very cautious. So when I started Little Red Wagon, I was still technically operating another business and living off of the proceeds. So I was okay. Paid cash for my first truck.
Nice. And you got a good deal on that.
And the funny thing is, I could have technically bought a truck that I got approved for a truck that was 5 times the price. But I didn't want a $600 or $700 payment on a truck starting out a company. So I started with an older truck and paid cash for it and just always keep my expenses and costs down and low. And I have actually seen a lot of companies, moving companies, carpet cleaning companies, come and go. I mean, I could make a list of all the companies who showed up, made the big splash,
made some money a little bit,
and are gone. And then next thing I know, their workers are calling me saying, "Hey, we showed up to work this morning and our doors are closed." And I'm like, my doors aren't closed because we don't overspend. I'm very cautious when it comes to advertising. I have a saying where I've actually seen companies literally advertise themselves out of business.
Okay, yeah.
So I always advertise, and I don't advertise out of an act of desperation. Like I have to make this advertising work or I'm out of business. I always advertise with disposable income.
It's more about brand awareness.
So if something's going to cost me $2,000 a month, I have to spend that $2,000 a month on advertising, knowing in the back of my mind that if I don't get one customer from that, I'm still okay. It's not going to hurt me. I'm not going to close my doors. So I always advertise, like some places I like that call me say, well, it only costs $500 a month. I'm like, do you know how many flyers I can buy for $500 a month?
Yeah.
Thousands. I'm like, so I'm, and I can get more return off of that and going door to door. So building a company is never, it's not easy. I've seen a lot of people take off out of the gates and fold. But sometimes, like restaurants, they're leasing $250,000 of equipment to make a $10 pizza.
Yeah.
And you have to make a lot of pizzas to pay off your equipment and your rent.
For sure. Yeah.
And so it's almost like they were starting with a losing edge from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I only pay to park my trucks. I still technically, my office is right back here. I do all my own paperwork. I did hire a payroll company, which is the only frivolous expense because I could do that myself. But I did hire a payroll company that does all my taxes and all that stuff.
Nice.
But we actually run the business out of the house, and it only cost me $300 where I park my trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some people spend thousands on shops and offices. Mm-hmm. And if you can afford it, great.
For sure.
But that has to just come with time. You basically don't want to ego spend.
Yeah.
You don't want to get a big ego and be like, well, I know I'm going to be big and I know this company's going to take off. But if it hasn't taken off yet, then don't go spend the money.
Yeah.
Let the work pull you. So let the work come first, then go buy another truck. Mm-hmm. And then when you're running both of those trucks and you're so busy, you're turning down work and you're like, can't do it. When the work is there, then go buy that other truck.
For sure.
And let the work pull you. But a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to go out and buy 3 vans because someday I'm going to be running 3 vans. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, you're not.
If you're going to do that, you should already have 3 vans or something like that.
So I'm just very careful. I always let the work come first and then my spend. Mm-hmm. And I always make sure that I've got my little nest egg.
Yeah.
So like when a truck breaks down, the transmission goes out. I've seen companies that were so small and so fragile that alone would bankrupt them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The transmission goes out of their truck like mine did. It was $5,000. I towed it to a shop and I said, here's $5,000. I had it rebuilt, but you got to have that. So my best word of advice is build up a little nest egg. You know, even if you have money, always act like you're broke.
I know for some people though, like they'll use that building up a nest egg as an excuse and then never get started. And I think if I didn't just jump into it without a nest egg, which I wish I did, but I think I would have just, never actually executed. And I think I needed that leap of faith. Yeah. And I guess that's just me and my story.
And sometimes it is a leap of faith, but I have seen a lot of companies where they spend a lot and they're put all their eggs into one basket. And if it doesn't work, they're sunk.
For sure.
So some advice that you and I got this morning with businesses is making sure, one, your business is needed.
Yeah.
So when
well, that's very true. That kind of goes without saying. But
I know, but you would be surprised. You want to make sure the business that you want to do is needed. Second is show the need. Go out there and make sure that you're telling people and explaining to people, educating people that they need this.
And get them to want the need in a sense. Essentially.
And then brand awareness, getting people to understand what you do. Even though I'm out there and I'm talking about Little Red Wagon Moving, it's pretty self-explanatory. But why am I better than anyone else? This is why. So wanting them, getting them to want my business over someone else. And so, I mean, it seems very elementary.
But I create video assets that do exactly that. Like they tell people why you're different, but they automate it basically because it's a video and it could be used over and over.
And staying up with technology. A lot of people think, oh well, if I just do this, I'm fine. Well, the world is changing constantly. You need to be on Facebook. You need to be on Instagram. You need to have a brand awareness out in the digital world now. And yes, relationships are important. Me going to Bonaventure and the Brookdales and talking to their leasing managers is important, but it all is important.
It all is. I mean, and back in the day, starting up a company, all you had to do was call a local, phone book rep, which is what I did on my first company. I placed one call, I ran an ad, and And
That's where the attention was.
And I was in business. And now I don't do print at all. Everything's digital. It's just where everything's gone.
Yeah, except for our flyers.
Flyers. Yeah, this is the only print. This and business cards is the only print that we actually do.
And those are needed.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're well-rounded with your brand, getting it seen. And so, you have to take it all. It's a lot of work. That's why we work together. I do one part of it and he does one part of it. But we work as a team and we do a really good job.
Yeah, and this podcast is kind of a strategy for me in a little bit, to help get my brand out there.
And you were the one that also filmed her video, Faces of Homelessness, and did an amazing job.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
The editing was
and that's when we
beautiful.
Technically didn't even know you back then.
Yeah.
You're the one that filmed the Faces of Homelessness, and that video now has been seen by well over 60,000 people.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Frank told us.
That was back in November.
Oh, wow.
And what's been really cool about your video is that random people stop me on the street. In fact, someone yesterday in a restaurant said, "You're that girl from that video."
Wow.
That just happened yesterday.
That is cool.
I've been stopped on Tejon and said, "Hey, I know you. You're in that video." And so your marketing, your type of marketing is very important.
Storytelling is my story marketing, I guess, is what I think.
And it works. I mean, I can't tell you how many, just in one night, how many DMs I got about the video and saying, "Wow, this was super inspirational. Thank you so much for putting it out there. Your story is this, this, and this." And you told that story.
Sure.
I was in the video.
Yeah.
But you
told the story too, but
yeah, true. But all this type of marketing is huge.
For sure.
And everyone gets their information from different sources. And you need to, as a business owner, be willing to go out in all directions and make sure your mission is heard.
For sure. And see, I actually had a bit in that documentary too, but I edited that out because it didn't make sense. Like, I want things to make sense and I want it to be the best. And, I would have liked to keep it in there, but it didn't work. It would have been too long. Like for this segment, it would have just ran on. I needed the scenery to change too. It would have been the same scenery as yours. And it would have taken away from your story. And I didn't want to do that.
Well, I appreciate that. Your story was good too.
I appreciate that.
And you should probably put it out there.
I probably should, yeah.
It's really good.
And I get what you mean by saying that I told your story because there was like certain editing techniques I used and slow pan in on certain parts that get dramatic and music and B-roll and all this extra stuff.
And honestly, just sitting in front of a camera, that would have been fine. But what it made it so intriguing is your editing, your cutting out the music, all of that stuff.
Transitions and stuff.
Yeah, it made it more interesting and people loved it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you doing this for us today.
And probably the last thing I'd like to add about this business is, I didn't want Little Red Wagon when it got started to just be about money. I wanted it to be about also giving back some. And one thing that, we've looked for in some of the networking we've done, opportunities have technically found us where we've been able to donate our trucks to pick up sleeping bags and food.
For the homeless.
To feed the homeless. And we've, even baskets that have been
gift baskets
auctioned off and proceeds go to charitable organizations and there's a certain percentage of like the money that we make as a company that goes back into churches. And
when you're running a company and then it gets bigger, you have that I guess opportunity to help.
I mean, I felt Tonya and I are Christians, and we felt like if this business was just about making money, then it'd do okay. But we feel like we have an obligation to give back.
For sure.
And, and support local churches and organizations. And
I'd love to do that with my company eventually.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about eventually starting I don't know how I'm gonna like do it, but like kids who want to like do YouTube and stuff,
Yeah.
like maybe teaching them like basic
That
camera
would be
stuff.
really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really neat.
Our industry is a service industry. And both Vince and I go into this as that we're out there serving others. Their stuff is, they built their whole lives, you know, to buy that stuff. And it's important, whether the couch is $50 or $100,000 or whatever all their stuff is. But we care about each piece, and we're doing a service for them, and we want to do our very best. And we both have a service attitude
And we also
in our life.
are not high pressure. Even when I go do an estimate, if that customer doesn't choose me, then I just feel like the customers that do find us, they were meant to find us. And the ones that use another company, then the job just wasn't meant to be. We don't harp on people or track them down or place annoying phone calls. I might send one email after an estimate and just say, you know, are you interested in using us? And if not, then we just let it go.
Yeah, I've had to learn that in the first few months of me doing business.
Well, not every job's meant for you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the ones that are, they find us, people find us. And, you know, I think that I've had so many men, and it makes me feel good because of the story of how my mom helped name this company. So many men and women like the name of the company. And every time they say that, I'm just like, hey, thanks, you know. But deep down inside, it's like a very personal thing.
For sure.
You know, and that's why every one of our trucks has a little flower on the side of it. You know, it just, nobody knows why it's there.
Yeah.
Not too many people know why there's a flower on the side of a truck, but that's why.
Carol and John do.
Yeah.
And now anyone who listens to this podcast.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
Just look for the flower. It's there.
All right. Well, we can wrap this up. It was a great conversation, I think. And
Yeah, thank
so
you.
much.
I think this was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And so,
appreciate you.
No, appreciate it.
All right.
And hopefully, you know, I mean, you know, the name of your company, obviously, you're posting it on your own thing, right? And
It's posted on Colorado Springs Business Podcast. But, you know,
do you want to throw out the name of your company?
I mean, I can, but I don't need to. So
Okay.
Okay.
Because
people will find me if they still want to.
Well, anyone who needs to make a video or do some editing or make a video for their company, absolutely.
For sure.
Use Andrew.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I know.
I guess it's better coming from other people too. So.
Yeah, use it.
Yeah. I've already experienced his great editing with my video, and I would recommend him highly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you.
This has been awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks you, Andrew.
That's all for today's episode of the Colorado Springs Business Podcast. If you haven't subscribed or liked us on Facebook, YouTube, or anywhere you may listen to podcasts on, because it's on everywhere. If you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever, you can find the Colorado Springs Business Podcast. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you again on next week's episode.